Hello, everyone. Pete Byrne from WSBT-22 Sports, joined today, as I frequently am, by Tyler James of blueandgold.com, and happy to let you know that all season long our two companies are going to be merging together to provide you the most comprehensive Notre Dame football coverage across several platforms. Tyler, it's an exciting day because it's the start of game week for Notre Dame. We've been looking forward to this to many, many months, as have the players, the coaches, the fans. And we just had a chance to hear from Marcus Freeman, and a lot of interesting things came out of his pre-Miami press conference, but probably most notably among it, the Irish are getting a very talented player back that I think we weren't necessarily expecting to see right away in defensive lineman Jordan Botelho.
Yeah, getting Jordan Botelho back is a big deal for Notre Dame. Someone that seemed like would miss maybe the first month of the season with his injury, but able to get back. He's been known to sort of fight back and be ahead of the recovery process, but having two off-season injuries felt like maybe he would sort of ease into things. But we've seen him out on the practice field looking like, man, I don't know what's holding him back other than knowing that he had an injury, and now he's in a position to play. And Marcus Freeman said that today, and so that just adds to the depth of defensive end that we believe Notre Dame will have this season. Marcus Freeman seems very high on the production that they can get out of that position, the potential with some younger guys rising up, and to have Jordan Botelho there as a leader and someone who brings obviously an edge on the edge is a very important addition for Notre Dame.
Yeah, in addition to a group that Marcus Freeman was raving about its depth today, and we've also talked about it throughout the extent of this training camp. But we know what Boubacar Traore can do. We saw it in limited play last year before he got injured. Bryce Young continues to impress, and there are more guys along that edge that just continue to look like they have the potential to be stars.
Yeah, Bryce Young is someone that. He's massive, like Marcus Freeman talked about. He's got good genetics, but man, you look at him, you're like, you want him leading you off the bus when you get to Miami. So there's high expectations for him. Like you said, Boubacar Traore has shown his potential in flashes last year before he got hurt. Junior Tui Halamaka and Joshua Burnham were guys that were relied on a lot last season because of those injuries. I think they might be maybe not talked about enough because they are solid guys, and I think will be important for Notre Dame this season. So the fact that they can bring guys in waves and Notre Dame is using them more interchangeably in terms of guys being on the left and right. They're not as worried about guys having to switch sides of the field. I think there's a lot of things that NotreAme can do with that depth at defensive end.
Yeah, and we will both talk about it throughout the week on our various platforms, but we don't need to get into it too much now. But Marcus Freeman did say this week, particularly against a talented quarterback in Carson Beck, they are going to have to find ways to make him uncomfortable and create pressure with their front four if Notre Dame is going to emerge victorious in the season opener. Obviously, on the offensive side of the ball, the story we've been following ever since the spring has been the starting quarterback battle. A week ago it came out that it will be CJ Carr, and what Marcus Freeman says was a really close race against Kenny Minchey, and he had a lot to say about both quarterbacks today.
Yeah, he sort of pointed to the decision to go with Carr as almost a gut decision, and one that he just felt like he had to pick the guy that he felt the most confident in, and then also feel confident that whoever doesn't get the job can handle that well. And it sounds like the way he described Kenny Minchey has handled it, he's been impressed by the way he's handled that and remaining prepared, because there's obviously a chance that Kenny Minchey could be needed, or maybe Notre Dame designs a reason to get Kenny Minchey onto the field. So, yeah, I think a very tight race. Kenny Minchey was someone that Marcus Freeman described as maybe growing as much since the beginning of spring till now as anyone in the program. Yeah. And CJ Carr had to make sure that he beat him out, and CJ Carr did that, not by a wide margin. And now CJ Carr will be put to the test in the season opener.
It'll be interesting to see how Carr reacts. Obviously, regardless of the guy that they were going to pick, you're going to be putting a first-time starter on the field against a top 10 team in a wild environment under the lights with the whole nation watching. A really big spot for either of them to be in, regardless of who the winner was going to be. But now that we know it's CJ Carr, I mean, how important is it for Notre Dame and for this season that he shows that he can be the guy that they expect?
Yeah, I think it's very important. Certainly doesn't get an easy test to sort of get loose at the start of the season against Miami. But, yeah, I think CJ Carr and Kenny Minchey, if he were to beat out CJ Carr, they believe that these quarterbacks are guys that can make a difference in the game. They're not necessarily game managers. Now, I don't know that that's necessarily – they don't necessarily need CJ Carr to go out and win this game against Miami. I think it's more or less, hey, don't give the defense any turnovers. Like, try to protect the football and make smart decisions. But I do think in the long run of this season, it's important for the quarterback position to sort of elevate the offense in different ways than Riley Leonard did last season.
And for what it's worth, Marcus Freeman did say today that one of the things that CJ has going for them is that he is making the other guys on the offense around him better, at least in Marcus Freeman's opinion. But he also said that it's clear in this game in particular, It's not CJ's to win. It's more CJ's not to lose. He's putting it on the other guys. He's putting it on the line. He's putting it on the run game. He's even putting it on the defense. You know, he said this can't be a shootout, right? But let's talk a little bit more about the offensive line, because the way Notre Dame is built up front, and with Jeremiah Love and J.D. Price, they have to be able to run the ball to be successful this weekend.
Yeah, I think so. And I think Notre Dame has an offensive line that can allow them to sort of dictate the tone offensively with the running game. Still haven't made a decision in terms of the starting right guard with Sullivan Absher and Gerby Lambert there. But I think whoever doesn't get the starting job, Marcus Freeman alluded to, maybe there's a chance that both of them play in a rotation at right guard. And even if that doesn't happen, I think that they're the next player up, probably at any position besides center, in my opinion. So I think that whoever loses that race is going to still be an important person for Notre Dame. But the experience that Notre Dame brings back, that's the biggest difference. Certainly it's sort of flip-flopped at the quarterback position. You don't have experience. And last year you didn't have any experience on the offensive line, where this year you don't have an experienced quarterback and then you have a very experienced offensive line. So I think that's what Notre Dame's going to want to lean on. I think they have guys that can move guys around. Miami has some talented defensive linemen, more on the edge than on the interior. So I'm curious to see if Notre Dame can get through the middle of that line and try to break some big runs.
And one thing that Notre Dame, Marcus Freeman did say today when talking about line plays, like they're so good on both sides of the ball up there that practicing against each other, he thought it was good preparation for this Sunday.
Yeah, Marcus Freeman always says this is an offensive line, defensive line driven program, and I think that's going to be abundantly clear this season with what Notre Dame puts out there on both sides of the ball. Those guys have gotten each other better throughout the preseason camp, and now we'll get to wear out some of the opponents this season.
All right, before I let you go, I'd like to opine a little bit as we head into the season opener. Looking at Notre Dame's schedule, on paper, this appears to be the toughest game of the 12. You never know how it's going to shake out, but on the road against a top 10 team, on paper it's the toughest one. This game is a huge springboard for Notre Dame, and it's not hope-crushing if they weren't to get it because of the 12-team playoff. We obviously saw last year that you can afford a loss. I don't know if they can afford to lose twice out of the gate. So with that in mind, how important do you feel this Sunday is for Notre Dame?
Yeah, I think it's very important. I think if a loss really narrows the margin of error, which it's not the same, but it's sort of similar to what happened after Northern Illinois last year, where Notre Dame felt like, hey, we got to win out now. That might not be exactly the case for Notre Dame moving forward with a loss this Sunday, but I think to sort of establish, like, hey, last year was not a fluke. Like, we are a team that can go on the road, play against ranked teams. We'll play anybody anywhere. I think this is a real chance for Notre Dame to make a statement coming out of the gate, maybe take a little bit of the pressure off the season opener. But obviously they're going to have to be ready, and at least there's a bye week between those things, so you think Notre Dame should be able to recover and recoup regardless of the result of this Sunday. But I think this is a really big chance to say, hey, Notre Dame is here to stay on the national scene in terms of a team that's going to be competing for a national championship.
And certainly in terms of recent history, I mean, that's what top 5 programs do, even in tough games. Yeah, we've got a new quarterback. The old stud is gone, but it doesn't matter. This is what we do.
Yeah, and it's interesting, a little bit different. The last 2 national championships have been won by teams in the Big Ten that played a lot of cupcakes early on in their season. And Notre Dame will be starting with probably 2 ranked teams for its first 2 games of the season. So I don't think that's been done for a national championship team since the college football playoff started. So maybe getting ahead of ourselves, but a lot to look forward to if Notre Dame can put together 2 wins there to start the season. And yeah, I think the best of the best programs in the country, it doesn't matter who their quarterback is, how much experience they have. They're going to have so much talent around them that they're going to continue to regroup and not have to take a step back before taking another step forward.
It's certainly going to be fun to watch this weekend, and then fun to talk about next weekend throughout the remainder of the season. He's Tyler James from blueandgold.com. You can check out his work as well as his many teammates' works on blueandgold.com. You can also see all of our stuff on WSBT on the air and wsbt.com, and we will be with you all season long here covering Fighting Irish football. I'm Pete Byrne from WSBT-22 News. For more Notre Dame stories, like and subscribe to the WSBT-22 YouTube page. Thanks for watching.